What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Knives at the Round Table. My name's Marco, and today we're going to be talking about the Para 3. And in particular, we're also going to be talking about this new set of scales that I got for it from Mr. Derek Carlson from DNA Lasering. Now, the Para 3 is one of the staples in many people's collections, and it's one of the reasons that I made it one of the size comparison knives whenever I do reviews. And there's a good reason for that. I think that the Para 2 and the Para 3 are excellent cutting tools. I don't find them particularly appealing. The lines of the knives I don't find beautiful, especially compared to other knives. But I have to recognize that they're excellent cutting tools for what they're intended to do, right? For cutting, for slicing, they're excellent tools for that. They're really ergonomic. They have a lot of things going for them, and it's one of the ones that I would recommend that everybody try at least once. You know, there's probably a version in a inexpensive steel that you can get that you should give it a try. You know, I do believe that you should experience the Para 2 and the Para 3 regardless of whether you like the aesthetics of it. Now, one of the nicer things about the Para 2 and the Para 3 is that the aftermarket support for the knives is probably unparalleled. I don't think there's any other pair of knives that has such aftermarket support for hardware, scales, clips, all of that. You can find many different suppliers that do aftermarket hardware and scales for these knives. So you're gonna be able to do, if you like titanium or micarta or carbon fiber or wood, if you like anodized, if you like colored hardware, whatever you like, there's probably somebody out there that makes it for these knives. And obviously, in this case, I got these scales from DNA Lasering. Now, DNA Lasering is a company I came across because I wanted a rule number 9 coin, and I saw this coin, or a version of this coin, in Dick Wording's channel. He usually does his reviews with a coin sitting by the knife. And while I didn't want to copy his style, I did think, as a knife guy, you should have a rule number 9 coin. So I started looking for one, and DNA Lasering is one of the companies that popped up. I was just Googling. So he has several different designs for the rule number 9 coin. This one has the rule number 9 on one side with a bunch of knives, and then never go anywhere without a knife on the other side. So I was looking for the coin, I found it, and while I was browsing his website, I saw that he also did engraving for scales. He had engraved scales, and he also does some custom work. If you want a knife engraved, like the Chavez or some of those, you can have them engraved. So I started browsing, and I came across the Mandalorian titanium scales for the Para 3. And he had me. I mean, I'm a big Star Wars fan, and I think these look sick. I mean, it has the Mandalorian symbol on one side, and on the other side, I think it just looks super cool. And while I was browsing, I also got the Mandalorian Bounty Hunter coin. This is in copper. So I think it's safe to say that Mr. Carlson is gonna have more of my money here in the future, because I think these are great. But let's get into talking about the knife itself, and we'll touch on the scales here in a little bit more. So as I said, it's one of the knife size comparisons that I do. So here it is against his larger brother, the Para 2. So very similar knives, but I know that a lot of people prefer the Para 3. I think I might be up amongst those people, because you still have a full grip, and I think it looks. I think the Para 3 looks nicer. That's why I decided to do, the, let's call it fancier scales on this one instead of that one. But I think DNA lasering has scales similar to these for this knife as well. Now, if we compare it to the Benchmates, right, the competition, that's against the Bug Out, and this is against the Mini Bug Out. So, and here's where it's a little bit strange, because in terms of blade length, it's more comparable to the Mini Bug Out, but in terms of the handle, it's more comparable to the full size Bug Out. And it's one of the things that people kind of knock on the Paramilitary 2 and 3, that the blade to handle ratio is kind of way off. But I actually like it. I think, some people, imagine a person that has larger hands, and I do have larger hands, and you want to have a smaller blade, or you live in a state that requires smaller blades. Well, you still want a full grip on your knife, right? Even if you need to have a smaller blade. So, I think there's definitely a place for knives that have a large, full size handle with a smaller blade. Now, the blade on the Para 3 is, as Nick Shabazz would put it, uncontroversially under 3 inches. So if you live in one of those states, I don't, but if you live in one of those states that has a 3-inch blade rule, and you have larger hands, you don't want to be stuck, carrying, a tiny little Bug Out, where your fingers fall off the edge of the handle. You want a full size handle. So I think there's definitely a place, and this blade to handle ratio, to me, it's I think it's a little bit of nonsense. Now, I touched on it before, but the ergonomics on the Para 3 are excellent. I would say amongst the best in the world. Okay, the contouring, you have a forward finger choil, you have this finger groove, the palm swell, and then it locks the knife in your hand so well, and it guides it exactly where it needs to be. You get a full size grip, and if you want to choke up, you have this very fine control, very good handle on a knife that slices really well. So I would say the ergonomics are excellent, and the original scales, they're just and actually, before I go too much further, let me show you. So that's DNA lasering. Let me put that out here so you can see it. So the ergonomics on the DNA lasering are very comparable to the original scales. Obviously, they feel a lot heavier, and I prefer my knife to be heavier. I like the feeling of solidity that something like titanium. There's not a lot of internal milling in here, so these are solid titanium scales. I like that a lot. I like when they don't do a whole bunch of internal milling. I know I'm in the minority. Don't judge me. But the lasering that he's done, this topo and the Mandalorian sign, it feels rough to the touch. So if you're passing your finger through a titanium and then you go into the blackened lasered area, it's like going from titanium to like call it probably a 200 grit sandpaper thereabouts, maybe 300. So what that does is it provides less. It provides some more grip. It won't slip. So it's similar to the G10 texture scales where you feel like it's not going to go anywhere. So the ergonomics on the scales are really very good. Very similar to the original scales that came with the knife. Now, the action on the Spydercos, I think is unique. When we talk action, for example, Benchmade has a unique action because of the axis lock, right? They have free falling blades, and that's kind of the case with Spyderco. They also, especially when the knives with the compression lock, you just hit it and the blade just completely falls, right? you get this bouncy, which you need to just be careful of. But the middle finger flick or the Spidey flick, right, is excellent. Like I said, it's kind of a unique action, and I think it's very good. It's not my favorite action. I like a controlled. I call it a controlled drop shot. Where it does fall, but it's controlled. This one is free falling. If you like free falling drop shot action, this is definitely something that will get you there. And even though it's running on phosphor bronze washers, and the action is just incredible. This knife just drops. I would consider the action very good. Now, fit and finish. So it's one of the better finishes on a Spyderco. This one, the one that I bought is the S45, the end stock version, and I chose that one because it has the coated blade in black, the black hardware, and what's a little bit more harder to find is the black liners and the black internals. You have a lot of, like, even this is the Knife Joy exclusive, so this one has the black hardware and the black blade, but you see it has the satin liners. So I wanted something with the black everything because I knew I was gonna get these scales. So the fit and finish from Spyderco, especially the Golden Colorado version of the knives, they make them in a bunch of different places, and the quality varies from place to place. But I found that the Golden Colorado USA Earth version of the knives usually are pretty good. Now, these are what I would call on the lower, not the lower end. I would say that they're not the expensive production knife, right? You're not talking Chris Reeve. You're not talking Rick Hinter. You're not talking that level of quality. But for the price that they sell at, and these are probably $150 with the original scales. I think the fit and finish is pretty darn good. It's nothing that is spectacular, but there's certainly, at that price point, there's nothing that I would complain about really. Now, cutting is great with this knife. The blade geometry on the Para 2 and the Para 3 is this tall, flat grind. It starts with stock that is not ridiculously thin, but because it's this tall, flat grind that starts way up here and then just goes down, it comes to a really nice edge, to a really fine point. So cutting and slicing is really, really, really nice with this knife. It's one of the best slicers, and when I say that they're great cutting tools, even though they're not beautiful, I mean that they're really, really good cutting tools. I would not classify them as hard use, just because when it comes to such a thin edge and such a fine point, there's things that you shouldn't be doing with your knife, like prying and and things like that. But it does come to a much sharper point and a thinner edge, and there's things that you gotta be careful with when you have that thin of a point and that thin of a blade. Now, airing of grievances, what I don't like. I think I've touched on it before. I think Spyderco's this configuration that I came up with, I think looks really, really nice. I am enjoying this, even though I don't think, when you look at the knife like that, I hate this aesthetic. I just don't like that very much. So my grievance with Spyderco is that although they make excellent cutting tools, I don't get the impetus of always making them look a version of this. Again, they're excellent knives, but I wish that not all of them had this hump that looked like birds. So that's kind of what one of my and I think it's probably my biggest pet peeve with Spyderco, and what I dislike the most. Like I said, a lot of people complain about the blade to handle ratio, and I think I think that's a mistake. I think there's a real place for a full-size handle and a smaller blade, for people who just want the full-size handle and can't carry a larger blade, for for legalities reasons. Now, as far as the scales, like I said, I think Mr. Carlson's going to get some more of my money because I think they're great. If you look at it, I think that Mandalorian scale is just really, really nice. And while I used to not carry my Para 3, just because I didn't like it quite that much, with this scale, I think it's definitely gonna be living in my pocket a lot more, thanks to that. Well, guys, there you have it. That's the review of the Para 3 from Spyderco and the titanium Mandalorian scales from DNA Lasering. I'm gonna link his website down below, so if you wanna check him out, I think he does great work. Like I said, he has these coins that are awesome. Oh, I'm not getting paid anything for this. Me and my 10 viewers have no weight to throw around, so this is really just me promoting somebody that I think does a great job. Guys, hopefully you liked it. If you did, like, subscribe. Do not hit the notification buttons. I don't want to be bugging you. You come see videos whenever you damn feel like it, okay? Until I see you again, take care.